This week you could win one of 3 bundles for the Silver Bayonet. Winners will be chosen from OnTableTop.com, YouTube and the Carpathians Games members.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to be taking a look at 2 boxes for the Silver Bayonet. It's the 2nd Austrian and 2nd Russian infantry units. Alright, so 2 boxes, the 2nd Russian and 2nd Austrian units for the Silver Bayonet. These come from North Star. If I flip over the Russians first, you can see you get 8 figures. They are metal, an officer, junior officer, artilleryman, heavy cav, veteran hunter, irregular, occultist, and a grenadier. So the first box of 8 does have has a first officer, and I believe it also has a veteran hunter. But between these 2 boxes, you've got nearly every option for the Russians. Depending whether or not you want to double up on things, you can always get them separately. So that's quite nice. I'll take a look at those in a moment. The Austrians are very intriguing for me though. We'll look at these first. So in here you get doctor, heavy cavalry, light cav, irregular, highwayman, coachman, woodsman, and tactician. Now, the Austrians originally had 13 troop or soldier types available. So with the first Austrian box having 8 and this having 8, it would mean you end up with more, or you'd end up with a lot of duplicate soldier types. So this box in particular has got 3 new soldier types that have been introduced in the Carpathian box. So just bring these in and then we'll get up close. Okay, so we're up close and personal now. As you can see, the majority of them are one piece. Just the heavy cavalryman has a separate arm. So we'll take a look at him in a moment. We have the 3 new at the bottom here. So this is our woodsman, highwayman, and coachman in the center. Then we also have our irregular, officer, and tactician. So we'll start with the tactician. Sorry, we'll start with the irregular. He's got that feathered cap, bit of flash at the end of the musket there. So that would just need to be clipped off. He's wearing what we'd expect to see, sort of a classical Austrian wearing. So looks like lederhosen with the strap across the chest, just a coat on, then the feathered hat, sort of a felt hat type affair. He's got a backpack on, musket pouch on the rear. Nice cast, small amount of flashing, and not particularly noticeable mold lines. Slight seam line there on the pants, but nothing huge. Nice distinctive looking sculpt. Our doctor, who looks like he should be on board a horse racing to somebody. You can see again, pistol and sword, medical bag hanging sort of, or being held probably under this short cloak. Impressive looking bicorn on him there. And big mutton chops. Really nice looking figure. Again, nice casting, minimal flashing and seam lines on it as well. Here we have our light cavalryman. So, stovepipe shako, big plume on him, plenty of lacing on the tunic there to get in and paint. General accoutrement, like the little tassels on the tops of his boots. I'm not particularly familiar with the Austrians. Obviously his gun is some form of carbine, so much shorter than a standard musket. If I bring one of those back in, you can see something that could be easily accessed on horseback. Again, lovely sculpt. Our tactician, there's a touch of the Spanish about him. It may just be the huge beard and avant-garde hat he's wearing. But you can see there, pistol lent on the arm. Bit of flashing to clean up. But overall, the quality of the sculpts is excellent. Nothing that would be overly concerning with a one-piece figure. And then we have our heavy cavalryman with breastplate and helm, pistol, and looks like a heavy cavalry saber. Could put a slight curve into it. You have a bit of posability with the arm, but because of the positioning, I wouldn't want to go too high, because it might look a bit odd. Actually, no, that could be doable. Again, lovely representation of a cavalryman who's become an infantryman because he has no horse. And then my favourite, the three new ones. So, the woodsman, nimble, can get around the board easily. They have the ability to ignore the dense terrain, which is always good. You can see here he has a hair on the back of his well, I was going to say webbing. It's not webbing. It's tied to the belt that's holding his satchel on, along with what appears to be a small amount of veg, some sort of beets or turnips, who knows. But yeah, handy thing to have, and available for, I think, nearly all of the new soldiers are available. No, they're not. I'm telling you a lie. The Woodsman's only available for the Austrians, French, Prussians, Russians, and Spanish. So he's obviously a regular type. He has that Austrian style felt hat with the feather in it. But again, if you're using this model, he could fit into most of the other armies as an irregular woodsman anyway. Also has the option to swap out specialty equipment for torch and oil if you have a burning scenario. Then we have our coachman, just armed with his massive blunderbuss, as you can see. And he is available to all nationalities. Hard to put down, which is good. Gives you a bit of survivability. That lovely sort of leather greatcoat to keep the rain off. Scarf right up to his nose, and then the big top hat. Looks like he's come straight out of a Hammer horror, which is what we want in life. And finally, we have our highwayman. And again, as far as new soldiers go, he is available to all nationalities. Bit more of a beaten down top hat on him, collar up, trying to disguise himself a little. Comes with a brace of pistols in game, so very capable of doing a lot of damage. Nice little pieces like the cross just on above his belt, or below his belt rather. Looks like it may even be a rosary hanging off the belt there. As far as scale goes, who is our tallest? I think you are our tallest. He is 28 mil, it looks, from foot to eye level. Yeah. And a little bit chunkier than some ranges, but not so large that they'd stand out disproportionately if you want to mix and match some of the Silver Bayonet models with other ones, or if you want to drop these into full-on Napoleonic forces to make distinctive officers or command stands. Right, let's have a look at the Russians. Okay, with the Russians then, more standard fare. So start off, we have an artilleryman, bedroll wrapped around him, sword ready to protect him. I need to straighten out a bit. The Russians are all single piece metal casts in this instance. Very nice. Lacing and facing. We have next a veteran hunter. Again, just need to take the little ball off the end of that musket. Got a bit of extra fighting equipment there. Hammer and stakes on the back, just to make him a bit more in world for the Silver Bayonet. If I bring in a grenadier, who were always meant to be the biggest, is he bigger? Oh, he is. That's nice. That's how grenadiers were defined. You find the biggest people and get them to form your main assault lines. Wearing a mitred hat with the Tsar's double-headed eagle on it. Gorgeous big tash on him as well. Really nice figure. Small amount of flashing on these, but nothing major. Nothing untoward. If I check the height of my grenadier, he is 30 mil to eye level, as opposed to the 28 mil for the regular rifleman. Yep. So 2 mil higher. We have our heavy cavalryman. Again, helmet and cuirass, breastplate, big beefy sword. As far as wargaming figures go, these have got nice chunky pieces of kit, which I appreciate more and more as I get older, because there's nothing worse than having a very thin sword that looks great, and then the minute you accidentally bend it or touch it, it snaps, or even worse, ends up with a big wiggle in it. I can't abide that. Here we have our irregular, so a sort of Cossack looking fellow, big beard, huge bear skin, big baggy pants on him. There is an officer looking very dashing, just went out to the front kind of officer. Very crisp and clean. What appears to be a lantern on his back, which is nice, especially when you're out after dark. And then we have a female officer for his the future of the Napoleonic Wars in this horrifying silver bayonet life. I really like this because it's an unusual figure. Obviously I see a lot of Napoleonic miniatures fairly regularly, so seeing something like this is a bit different, a bit nice. Wearing a sort of a hussar's outfit, so pulleys over the shoulder, and then again the wee tasselled boots as well of a sort of cavalry officer. And finally we have our Russian occultist. She is banging on a drum, which is, I'm assuming there's a name for it. It's very, very similar to a boran in Ireland. So some sort of animal skin drum over a cross piece at the back. Lots of interesting potential for painting on this one as well. These braids, I don't know if they're rope or hair or what they're made out of. And then the sort of Romany sort of fringed headpiece that you would see on some fortune tellers and the like. Makes a nice change from the constant green and white of the Russian uniforms. Some really nice figures in there. I particularly enjoy the Grenadier. But there we have it. The Russian and Austrian set 2. So there we have it, some absolutely gorgeous figures to play out your games of Silver Bayonet. I like the Russians because of things like the Russian Grenadier with the mitred hat on him. Some really nice figures in there, and also the junior officer or light cavalry, depending on what way you want to run her. The hussar, really, really nice figure as well. All the lace work in the pelisse is great, but I think the Austrians may just be just a notch above because they contain so many of the new soldier types for the Carpathian Castle Fier book. But let me know what you think below, and don't forget to check out the rest of the videos throughout this week for the Silver Bayonet.
This week you could win one of 3 bundles for the Silver Bayonet. Winners will be chosen from OnTableTop.com, YouTube and the Cult of Games members.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.